Hello, can you see me? Can you see
Yeah,
me
I can
today?
see you. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're
So
looking
I think
better
you
than you
have.
did the other day. I think you were too close the other day, weren't you? You were like right up like this, like oh,
Okay.
okay. So
Okay. So you have been back from work just now, I think so.
for more what?
You have been back from
Back
work
from what?
just now, I think.
Indeed. Yes.
Okay. Aren't you tired?
They were going to have that. They were going to have that language barrier again. It's cold here in England. It was baking hot last week, and now it's freezing cold again. Typical Britain. Anyway, so
Okay.
we're going that I've put up. Right, government should talk and negotiate with terrorist organisations. Okay. Um, first of all, I mean, there's sort of things I think to sort of say about this. Like in what constitutes a terrorist. I've got some notes here which I used on a previous debate of the definition of terrorism. Although, bear in mind that there is actually no internationally agreed definition of terrorism. But the Oxford English Dictionary, pretty good source, says the unlawful use of violence and intimidation against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. Would you agree that that was a reasonable definition? Can you hear me okay?
Can you please repeat what you said? I couldn't get it.
Okay. Just to define, what terrorism actually is, this is according to the English dictionary, the Oxford English Dictionary.
Okay.
The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you okay
Personally,
with
I
that?
don't. Okay. 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 I accept it. I agree to it. Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
As
I do.
I said, I don't know if you got what I said before, but there is no internationally agreed definition, but that's the Oxford English Dictionary definition. I think most people tend to sort of go along with that one.
Okay.
Just 2 seconds. My lady just came in the door then. Said hello.
Okay.
Not sure she want anyway. She might want. I might have to go soon. I don't know. Anyway, okay. But of course, it calls into question an awful lot of things of what groups are actually terrorist groups. I very much nowadays that a terrorist is simply an organisation who fights the world domination of America, basically. Kind of like, as Noam Chomsky put it very wisely, I think recently, he said, when they do it, it's terrorism. When we do it, it's counterterrorism. So it's kind of like anyone who fights against the, or somebody that, that Washington doesn't like, doesn't like Washington's policy and rebels against it is a terrorist, which I disagree with entirely. So I just think, a lot of terrorists, they're people just like me and you. I'm sure they've got better things to do. I'm sure they've got families to provide for. They don't really want to be doing what they're doing. And governments ought to sort of sit up and think, well, let's try and resolve these issues. I'll pass it over to you.
So
if I sit back like this, okay.
Okay. So, go on.
My chair's got wheels on it. Look, I can do that. My chair's got wheels on it. See, look. Okay.
Okay.
So if I do that, then you talk. Okay.
Okay. So, actually, you know what? Terrorism is something I think so, which is still a cause for hindrance, which is still a hindrance to a very developed society as well as to a underdeveloped society. And the topic that you have raised, that there must be negotiations with terrorism groups, I don't agree to it. Whatever definition you mentioned, I really agree. But partially, at some point of time, it is not always for political issues. It is sometimes also for religious issues. Take the example of ISIS.
For what issues?
It is also
Sorry, can you repeat that?
okay.
For what issues? Did you say racial issues?
You mentioned that there
You
is
said it's not all.
yeah, it is not always for political gains, but it is sometimes also for religion gains. Religion for religious causes.
No, religion.
Re-
Religion. Okay.
okay,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
religious causes.
Yeah.
So if I take the example of
Okay.
IS
But then-
that is going on in Afghanistan, or you can take in Syria, they want Islam to spread all over the world. So there is a religion cause, religion-based terrorism group. So that particular group wants their community to spread over over the world, and so they are trying to do that. They have been killing people, thousands and crores and crores. So I don't think that that ISIS group is supported by any political party. But in case there is any country which supports ISIS, the first country I will mention is Pakistan, who wants that. Apart from that, other countries, okay, rest of the countries do not want that, except Pakistan, which is now a totally isolated country in the world. Except it, no other country is supposed to the ISIS.
Okay. Okay. I must say that, by the statement I've put up there, it doesn't mean to say that I advocate that government should give terrorist groups what they want for a moment. I really, must stress that. And I certainly do consider ISIS a terrorist group. I suppose it's a difficult one, really, because you've picked on something which is one of the worst groups in the world today. I suppose really, when you think about it, about ISIS has come about because of the mistakes that governments have actually made in the past, i.e., this is kind of like a storm that's been brewing for over 100 years. I don't know if you're familiar with something from history called the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Are you familiar with that at all? Sykes-Picot? You're nodding? Yeah. This was an arrangement that France and Britain had to divide the states of the Middle East, or to divide the geographical area after the Allies had defeated the Ottoman Empire, where the geographical land was divided up into what became Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, and Palestine. And it was a kind of a case of, well, you have this bit, we'll have that bit. They didn't give a toss as to how they were dividing up or infringing on the territory of different Arab peoples, different tribes, etc., etc. And there were all sorts of minor terrorist things going on at the time. This was sowing the seeds of future problems. So, it's not. I must stress it. I'm not sort of saying, oh yes, like all these groups, just give them what they want. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that, negotiation at the right time could actually forestall all sorts of problems later on.
But you see, when I talk about, or when we talk about negotiations, what does negotiation mean? Actually, the question arises over here: what does negotiation mean to terrorism? Terrorists want nothing, but only they want to spread their power. They want to spread their own wishes. they want to fulfill their desires in any aspect, and they want the power of money and they want to show it. Other than that, they want nothing else. So I think there arises no question of negotiations, because if terrorist group have to bring, I mean, if they have to be brought into negotiations with the government, then the government will have to lose a lot and lot of wealth, a lot and lot of wealth. I will just say one thing,
No.
that police officers, the one who are termed as police officers, they also carry arms. They also have arms, as well as the terrorist groups also have got arms. The difference is that police officers fight and defend their nation. They die for the nation. They do not work for money. But the terrorist groups, they also carry arms, but they carry these arms to attain money, to attain power. There is a difference. That's a difference between a police officer and a terrorist group. And the thing about negotiation, I think if there can exist negotiation between a terrorist and the government, then the government must and the government will have to pay a lot of huge money to the terrorist groups, and they have to bring the negotiation, because terrorists do not require negotiations; they only want for money.
No, I think you're lumping in. I gather from what you said there that you're sort of lumping in all terrorist groups as wanting the same aims. I completely disagree with that, and I'll give you an example. In my country, Britain, the United Kingdom, and kind of owned, the country which is part of the British Isles. You have Ireland. That was occupied by British troops. The Irish people were very much abused. They couldn't rule themselves at the end of the day. You're back. You went off for a second, then I think you're okay. So the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, who were just people like you and I, but they wanted they were being abused, they were being treated dreadfully. They couldn't vote. So they wanted independence. They didn't want to go out and countries. In fact, Ireland have never attacked another country in that way. They wanted their freedom basically, and through terrorism, they eventually got the government to negotiate with them. 1920, I believe it was, Michael Collins who went and negotiated, and the United Kingdom agreed eventually to hand over what became the Republic of Ireland to the Irish people, so they could govern themselves. I mean, I can't see what's wrong with that. Unfortunately, Britain actually kept part of Ireland back. That's now called Northern Ireland. So it's a small part of, still part of the United Kingdom. Now, up until I think it was 1968, Catholic people, or many Catholic people, they didn't have the same rights as the Protestant people. Many Catholics couldn't vote, kind of a technical reason, but it was aimed at Catholics. So you could say that Catholics in Northern Ireland didn't really have full voting rights the citizen of the United Kingdom had. And there were marches, there were protests, and there were terrorist incidents. And these terrorist incidents went on for years and years and years. It's still going on now to some extent. But these are actually just, I know, they're not all, some of them are real bastards, obviously, some of these people, but essentially, people are people. They've got lives to lead. They've got families they want to look after. This idea of people saying like, oh, why can't they just live in peace? Well, yes, when you've got two groups of people, it's usually a case of, both groups want to live in peace, but really wants to live in peace at the expense of another group. So, eventually, with the Irish situation, we had what's called the the Good Friday Agreement, 1997, I think it was. And, we had a kind of a semi-autonomous rule in Northern Ireland. So negotiation did actually achieve something. But as I say, at the end of the day, it's your description there of all these people who just want to do this. Yes, there are some groups who don't want to do that. ISIS is one like that. But it's not all. They're not all like that.
Okay. So what we have been describing, I think so it was years back. But at the present, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. But at present,
yes, I can hear you.
Okay. But at present, the terrorist groups that we have, they cannot be compared to what we have in the previous years. You see, Laden, who was one of the dangerous terrorists, he got killed. So his complete terrorist group has now been destructed. Prior to Laden, there were some groups which are now no more extinct. They have got devastated. But the groups that have been upcoming at the present years, they are more catastrophic and they are more dangerous than the previous ones, and we cannot imagine coming into negotiations with them. Fine. Okay, fine. I do agree. Whatever you said, I agree to that government with the help of negotiations can make a war a peaceful one, can bring peace back to life. But what about punishment? When the terrorist groups can kill thousands of people, it is really shameful for humanity that those persons, they slaughter many humans. And with the cutout hat of a human, they play football. Is this what we have humanity? So when they're inhuman beings, why shall we give some treatment to them? I really got shocked to hear a news that in Germany still there exists one terrorist leader who was one of the security guards of Laden. He is now getting a monthly salary of 93,000 from the German government to stay there and live his own life. He is a person who was involved in doing terrorist attacks. He had killed so many of the people. How can we allow him to live in a society? I think this is something, I know this is very horrible to listen. And when you talk about negotiations, it means what? That terrorist groups and government will come into mutual understanding. The government will provide a facility. They will live peacefully, and even they will let us to live in peace. But what about the punishment that should be provided to the terrorists? They will not surrender, of course, but we have to go to mutual understanding. And I mean, where is the punishment given? That means they have done so many of the wrong things, and for that there is no punishment.
Okay. Well, I think, there is actually an argument to say that in some ways our government should be punished for not sorting these things out. I remember from my childhood when there were all sorts of terrorists. I remember going to school and there being a bomb threat, IRA, the Northern Irish thing. Hundreds of people were killed, thousands of people injured over the course of the years. And, the attitude of these people was, oh, damn terrorists, damn this. But we didn't told why these things were happening. And when I think back to it now, I actually blame my own successive governments for letting this happen. I also remember things like, airplanes being hijacked. I remember, things like people like Carlos the Jackal and people like that. And I always regarded these things as like, oh, these damn people, what are they doing? But I know now that many of those terrorist attacks of the 1970s, 1980s were actually carried out by people who were trying to not explain the situation, but highlight the situation in Palestine. And that situation is still going on, where you have an entire population who have been they've been militarily occupied for the last 50 years, and nothing's really being done about it. You've got the people in Gaza who are ruled by a group called Hamas, who the West regard as a terrorist organization. But these people, there's 2 million people living inside what is a massive prison camp. I mean, what the fuck are they supposed to do? They do use violence sometimes to try to do. It doesn't get them anywhere. But I now see why these people are trying to do what they're doing. They live in absolute dire repression. It's like the Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto that fought against the Nazis in 1943. What, are they terrorists? They're treated abominably. They try and fight back. So it's not always as cut and dried as that. The groups that you're talking about, I mean, I obviously don't know who all these are, and I repeat, that I don't say that we should just, in every case give people what they want. I'm just saying that people should be listened to, and the people of the nation should be told truthfully why other groups are doing what they want. What makes people do these sort of things. As I say, they've got better things to do. You speak, or have you gone? Not sure whether he's gone or not.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey,
Hello.
you're back. I was talking and you were staring at me,
Okay.
and then I realised that your face had frozen, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I've been talking for the last.
No.
Did you hear? Did you get what I was saying?
Yeah, I understood what I'm going to say. I got the previous
Okay.
question.
Now,
Okay.
the crux of the matter is this, really, just to sort of get on track to what the crux of it's the principle of negotiation. I think we must stick with that, i.e., are you saying that we should never, under any circumstances, negotiate with so-called terrorists or terrorists, whatever? That it is something that we should consider. I mean, we don't even have to consider this a yes or no debate. I mean, I think, let's not forget, this will be broadcast on YouTube forever. And I think sometimes it's important for people across the world to talk to each other about these things.
Yeah.
And, just get an understanding,
Yeah, whatever you talk, yes, that is very important. That debate is, I think this debate that we are doing is not only to gain the popularity or something like that, but it is something that people should understand that what is the current situation at the present, that each and everyone must take a step to solve it. And I duly agree with that. And whenever you talk about Israel and Palestine, I think, this particular topic of Israel and Palestine, I think it doesn't come under this particular topic. Because, as you said, there is no approximate and there is no accurate definition of terrorism. So, what is terrorism? I can't define. I myself consider Pakistan to be a terrorist. I myself consider North Korea to be a terrorist. I myself consider China to be a terrorist.
What?
Okay.
What, the whole country?
Yeah.
The whole country of Pakistan to be terrorist?
Yes, it's
Really?
a terrorist. I consider that. No, I consider.
What?
Because there exists no definition.
You can,
Okay.
hang on. Okay, but I just want no. I don't interrupt you. It's just I wanted you to clarify. You're saying that the entire state of Pakistan is
Yes.
terrorist.
Yeah, it's a terrorist.
You do know that you do know that in legal terms, a state cannot be a terrorist group. You know that.
Yeah.
That is defined in international law.
Yeah. Okay.
That a state cannot be
Yeah,
terrorist. But you are considering. But you do consider the state of Pakistan to be terrorist, yeah?
You see, when I talk about a state to be terrorist, I mean that, yeah, it's not that I'm talking about each and everyone, but the ones who try to defend the nation, the system of Pakistan, the system of government over there, the system of government that is going on in North Korea, the system of government that is going in China, I consider them to be terrorists. Because there exists when...
Hang on, let's just focus on Pakistan, just to sort of make things simple and clear. Okay, are you saying that because the state of Pakistan sponsors terrorism?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I do agree.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question then.
Okay.
Okay, let me ask you a question then.
Okay.
Consider the United States of America to be terrorist then in that same way? Because
Yes,
it's too
yeah, yeah, yes,
terrorism.
I do agree. At one point of time,
Okay.
America
Okay.
sponsored terrorism, and I do agree America was a terrorist group. I do agree, yes, because you see, when India was suffering
Okay.
from terrorism, when India was suffering from
Mm.
terrorism since years and years, and when do we ask for help,
Mm.
America, they said to us that it is your legal matter that must be solved within the state. But when the terrorist attack happened in America on 1911, then the country woke up and then they tried to provide help. Before that, America supported terrorism and America sponsored terrorism. And I truly agree that America was a terrorist group before. At present, it might take a step
Okay.
to fight against terrorism, but yes, it was a terrorist group and it sponsored terrorism. I do agree.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, when I'm nodding, I'm not agreeing with you necessarily that I believe America is a terrorist state. I'm just nodding that I'm understanding what you're saying. That America does, well, not just agree, but I actually said it myself, that America does sponsor terrorism, as does Saudi Arabia, as does Israel, as does my country, Britain. It's just that they're all good terrorists, but then of course they don't call them terrorists at all. They would call them rebel or I don't know, anything but terrorists. But anyway, look, I think I'm going to have to go soon because my lady wants me
Okay.
for dinner. I think that's right. But anyway, to ask you a quick question, okay?
Okay.
Here's a question for you, okay? Which are the only two countries in the world that play cricket and have gone to war?
Can I get your question once more? I couldn't hear.
Okay. Which countries in the world
Okay.
that play cricket?
Mm.
Okay, very important. They are cricket playing countries. The only two cricket playing countries in the world that have ever gone to war against each other.
That have ever gone to? I could not
Was
hear
that the
the
answer? Sorry, I didn't get that. Okay, two countries that have fought each other. They've fought each other.
Okay.
But they're cricket. Okay, which of those two countries?
I guess they're Pakistan and India. I think.
Yes, that's
Yes,
right. Exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
so it's just two countries. But maybe if all the world played cricket, there'd be less war, wouldn't there? And to Dash, but it's been good to chat. Okay, you think about some more things to talk about. I mean, this one I think was, it's just interesting to talk about. I just like to discuss these sort of things to bring things out. Okay, so anyway, you have a good night. I'm gonna jog off now. So you take care and hope to catch up with you again soon. Okay, all right. Good night.
Good night. Bye bye. Bye bye. Hope to see you in the next debate.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night.
And you. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.